Welcome to a brand new episode of the Jampack Report today for July the 14th of 2020. Of course, my name is Samuel Adams and this is a daily gaming news podcast meant to bring you the hottest news you need to know from around the industry. Hosted on YouTube and podcast services around the world 5 days a week, it is your one-stop shop for everything you need to know. So if you enjoy the show and you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and keep coming back for more. But today, believe it or not, there was a Google Stadia Connect, and we have the biggest breakdown for all of the news that I could find online because, quite frankly, it seems like not too many people are talking about this, mainly because there, quite frankly, was not too much to talk about. Google announced 16 new titles coming to Stadia, the tech company's game streaming service, including From Software's Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, a new Battle Royale-style Bomberman game, and an exclusive from developer Splash Damage called Outcasters. Outcasters, described as a vibrant and accessible competitive online multiplayer game set in a distinctly stylized vinyl world, joins Orcs Must Die 3 as a Stadia exclusive. 3 more exclusive games are coming to Stadia from Rock Band developer Harmonix, Until Dawn developer Supermassive Games, and Submerged developer Uppercut Games. Konami will bring Super Bomberman R Online, a Battle Royale take on the multiplayer series, first to Stadia. The online game will support up to 64 players and feature Stadia's crowdplay feature. Super Bomberman R Online is based on Super Bomberman R, which was released for Nintendo Switch in 2017 and has since come to other platforms. The addition of Sekiro Shadows Die Twice will be a true test of Stadia's latency promises, given the game's frame-perfect tolerances during intense boss battles. The following games were also confirmed for Google Stadia: One Hand Clapping, Dead by Daylight, Hitman, Hitman 2, and Hitman 3, Serious Sam 4, Outriders, WWE 2K Battlegrounds, PGA Tour 2K21, NBA 2K21, Hello Neighbor, and Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek. To see everything announced today, including the launch of click-to-play games, playable instantaneously from a link via YouTube, you can check out today's Stadia Connect presentation. So, first and foremost, the future. What is going to be coming to Google Stadia? It looks like a couple of notable exclusives could be coming to the service. The Harmonix titles, that is still up in the air, but of course you would expect some kind of rhythm-based game. Until Dawn developer Supermassive Games getting in on the Stadia action. That could prove to be something of interest. On top of that, Submerged developer Uppercut Games, that's kind of a wild card. Submerged is a bit of a hidden gem, so to speak, if you will. So the future is not necessarily, for the case of Google Stadia, Uncharted or Halo or Gears of War or Spider-Man, for instance. If we're talking about these big console sellers, you are going to be seeing a slow start, but it is clear that Google is investing in the future of Stadia and that they are still interested in making it work. Now, out of all of the announcements from today's show, I think the most interesting is Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, because that is more or less built to be a tech test of latency. I mean, as the article does mention, it is very much so dependent on the responsiveness of the controller and of the player. It is very much so dependent on very specific movements and motions that you make within the game to be successful at actually playing the game. So this is going to kind of prove the utility of Google Stadia. But even if it doesn't have any latency whatsoever, even if they get it to where it is on par with a console experience, I think that right now, in the eyes of players, it's just not going to stack up against PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, let alone the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. I'm just not sure that people are ready for cloud gaming in the way that Google Stadia is promising it. Now, if Google can bide their time and if they can extend the lifespan of Google Stadia, then they could potentially be competing with the team at Xbox as they make their streaming platform Project xCloud and flesh it out to become a bigger part of what Xbox offers. So if they can hold out, then Stadia might be able to hold their own, but as for right now, it looks like it's still going to be a bit of a bleak year ahead for Google Stadia. But it's improving, but outside of Serious Sam 4 and maybe a Hitman 3, not too much happening on the world of Google Stadia, at least nothing that you can't get anywhere else. But moving on, Tony Hawk says that he wants to bring Pro Skater 3 and 4 back to life, then work on a new direction for the series. For a while there, it looked like the future of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater was on hold, or at a bitter end. The unfortunately named Tony Hawk 5 was a new low for the series and left us hanging for nearly 5 years as we anxiously awaited the fate of this once-beloved franchise. Just a few months ago, Tony Hawk let us in on 2020's worst-kept secret. Vicarious Visions and Activision were creating a remaster of the first 2 games called Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Due out in September on PC, PS4, and Xbox One, the revival bundles together the 2 classic entries with tons of input from Tony Hawk himself and several other skaters. Based on statements he has made in the latest issue of Game Informer, however, he does not want to stop there. Speaking to the magazine, Hawk says, quote, "This is just the start. With that baseline, we are hopefully going to be able to help remaster other titles, Pro Skater 3 and 4 even, and start to work on a new direction. That's ultimately the goal for me. Naturally, money talks, especially with Activision, so this project would have to sell before that happened. Something tells me, though, that Vicarious Visions knows what they're doing, and folks have been hungry for a knock-it-out-of-the-park good Tony Hawk game since Tony Hawk's Underground 2. Some would say Tony Hawk's Underground 1, if so, the quality is there, and that baseline Hawk mentions is a workable physics system the fan base will follow." So I think the author for this Destructoid article, Chris Carter, knocks it out of the park here because knocks it out of the skate park. Boom, that one you can have for free. The next one will cost you. I'm in town all week. But the baseline, of course, physics system is what is going to be the foundation for all of these remasters. And I was actually thinking about that this morning. If you have a remaster of 1 and 2 releasing in 2020, let's say in 2021 or 2022, you see a remaster of 3 and 4, and then you move into whatever the future of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater might be. Additionally, you could just take the fan favorites. You could do Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 for 2020, and maybe you could get Underground 1 and Underground 2 in 2022. It just depends on what the fans want. But I will say the Pro Skater name is much more powerful and much more significant than American Wasteland, than Underground. It is just the one that carries the weight. But I, for one, am so excited about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 to come out on the modern consoles. It is one of my most anticipated games of the year. It is in a different realm as compared to, say, The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima. It's not quite up there with those, but it is certainly one that I'm excited to see the future of. But to round out today's show, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds has passed 70 million units sold, and a remaster of Sanhok is on the way. Today, PUBG Corp, the developer behind PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, announced the game has sold over 70 million units to date. To mark this occasion, the team has remastered the popular Sanhok map. I can't believe PUBG has been around long enough to warrant remastering a map that was released, in my mind, seemingly recently. But no, it's been a couple of years now. When players drop in on July 22nd or July 30th on PC and Xbox One respectively, they will discover that almost every structure, tree, rock, and material in the map has been rebuilt from the ground up. Using data and player feedback, many locations have had extensive design and art upgrades. Popular locations such as Boot Camp, Ruins, Painan, Cow, and Quarry have all received major updates. The 8.1 update also brings with it the following major additions. The loot truck driving the roads of Sanhok are autonomous cargo transports that offer players a brand new way to gear up. As these trucks take damage, they will drop some loot and continue on their way. Players persistent enough to destroy the truck will be rewarded with an even bigger cache of weapons and gear for their squad. Players who take down the loot truck will be rewarded with fully customized weapons, of course called confiscated weapons. You can preview the 8.1 update with the PC test server on July the 15th and the console test server on July the 20th, and of course, we are excited for these changes, they say at Windows Central. PUBG keeps on keeping on. I mean, it is one of the original battle royales that kicked off this trend that has changed the face of the gaming industry. But 70 million units sold is nothing to shake a stick at. It's certainly a very impressive amount of units, and it is cool to see the team continuing to invest in PUBG. Of course, a new project has been announced, or at least teased to some degree, so something new is on the way, but it would be foolish to abandon this game because it still has a very large swath of dedicated players that want to continue coming back to the world of PUBG. But that rounds out today's episode of the Jampack Report. If you enjoyed today's show, drop me a like down below and let me know what stories caught your eye. Would love to hear what you have to say. But until tomorrow, you guys have a fantastic rest of your night. I'll talk to you soon, and peace.